Good morning, students. I hope you're having a great beginning of your Tuesday morning. I hope your week has started out well. Well, we are now in week 6 of exploring the New Testament together. And so your week 6 assignments went live yesterday morning. So those are now available for you. This week, in regards to your assignments, it's going to be the same as your previous weeks. You'll have your unit quiz, your discussion, your reflection, and your accomplishment paper. And so those assignments, as I mentioned, went live yesterday morning. And so this week, if you haven't had the opportunity to be on the course icon, you're going to be reading 3 different articles out of the ESV. 2 of them are going to be focusing on basically an introduction, dealing with the book of Ephesians, and then also the book of First Timothy. And then you're going to be reading over that section on called Biblical Doctrine. So it's an overview there. So you have a lengthy section to read there on biblical doctrine. And then this week, the assigned scripture reading this week is going to be coming from the book of Ephesians, and then also from the book of First and Second Timothy. And so your questions are going to be coming from those 2 books. Your discussion is going to be coming from the book of First Timothy, and you're going to be looking at biblical leadership, and then your reflection and your accomplishment paper are going to be coming from the book of Ephesians, looking at the 3 different relationships that Paul was discussing in Ephesians chapter 5. And then your accomplishment paper is going to be looking at the spiritual armor of God. And so that's going to be your assignments for this week. As I've mentioned previously, make sure that you are reading through the footnotes that are connected with the different passages that you're reading, just because the footnotes will help you in your overall understanding of what the scripture is saying. It will also help you with the general context, because when you're looking at a specific question that might be focusing on a particular passage or a particular verse of scripture, you always want to read the context or the passages ahead of the verse you're looking at, and then also the verses after that, because that's going to help you to understand the overall context of what the writer is saying. So to really encourage you to do that, make sure you're not just focusing on a specific verse, but that you are looking at the verses connected with that. It's going to give you a general overall understanding of the passage. And again, the footnotes will help you to do that, because typically sometimes with the footnote, they'll cover specific details, maybe with that verse, but then they're also going to connect you with an overall, sometimes understanding of the chapter. And they're also going to take you to other books in the Bible that can assist you, and you can bring those different verses into your papers, because that's just going to help you, as I've mentioned before, specifically in your accomplishment paper with the doctrinal research, and then overall too, and just in your reflection, you can bring additional information in there, which just helps your overall understanding of what you're studying. So just wanted to really encourage you to make sure that you are reading through the footnotes. Also, there are a couple of supplemental resources that are available for you. Now, those aren't assigned reading. Just want to make sure that I clarified that. That's not the assigned reading, but they are resources that will assist you in helping you with with some of your assignments. And so the supplemental handouts have been made available, and then also there is a video lecture this week on the armor of God, and of course that will assist you with your accomplishment paper. So those resources are available, and again, if you do have questions at all, please do reach out to me with those. The other thing too I wanted to mention to you in regards to your assignments, please make sure that when you're reading through the assignments with the different questions that you're answering for your discussion, reflection, and your accomplishment, that number 1, you're meeting the word requirements listed there, and then number 2, that you are fulfilling the requirements in the scoring rubric. So I just want to really overemphasize that, because I was grading your week 4 papers, and getting those back to your week 4 assignments and getting those back to you for this week. Overall, the content that you were presenting and answering your questions was really good. So if I was scoring your papers just in regards to answering the content of the questions that you're being asked, for the most part, you guys did very well this week on your assignments, whether it was discussion, whether it was the reflection or the accomplishment, answering the questions. The area that seems to be where points are being lost is not fulfilling those other requirements that are in the scoring rubric. And that is one of the reasons why when I've written the questions out, I wanted to make sure that I highlighted that in there, that those aspects have to be in there because that is a requirement from the missions and ministry department within the scoring rubric. Those have to be in there. So if you are, looking at your scoring rubric with your feedback and you're wondering, why was my score lower? And you look and you see the section in the scoring rubric on discussion and application questions and you get an unsatisfactory. That's because you didn't include any questions in your paper, or you didn't list those at the end, discussion and application questions. Or the same thing if you look in your accomplishment paper and you have an unsatisfactory on the introduction / conclusion closing prayer. You have an unsatisfactory in that area. And you clearly see then that you have to have an introduction and a conclusion, because it says for an unsatisfactory. Actually, you can get an unsatisfactory for basically having one but not the other, because you have to have both of those there. And so make sure that you are fulfilling all of the requirements that are being asked of you, whether it's the discussion, whether it's the reflection, or whether it is the accomplishment paper. You have to have all of that criteria as well as answering your questions in order to get the best score that you can get. And I just want to really overemphasize that as your instructor, because that's an easy way, a very easy way to lose points that you don't have to by just not having all the requirements listed in your papers that need to be there. And so I just wanted to really mention that because, like I said, your assignments have been graded, they have been returned to you. Make sure that you are going in to the feedback, that you are looking specifically into the feedback, because you'll notice in the rubrics, you have to actually go into the rubric. You have to go into the top, open up the keys to be able to look at each one of those sections, because your feedback is broken down into each one of those sections so that you're able to see specifically in that section, whether it's doctrinal research, whether it's exposition, whether it's in your reflection, whether it's understanding of the material. So those sections are broke up so you see specifically, areas that you need to work on improvement. If you're looking at your reflection, you might see, I did really well in my overall understanding, but I need to give more personal reflection, or I needed to give more application. And so you're going to be able to see that in those specific sections of how you need to improve on an area to be able to get the best score that you can. So I just wanted to really encourage you with that, because that was the main thing that I was seeing this week, is from an overall answering the questions, as a whole, looking at you as a group, you're grasping the information, and answering the questions is doing the other aspects of that. That's a requirement that has to be in there. And if those requirements aren't there, I have no other choice but to give you the unsatisfactory on the area, or give you a novice in the area if there's just little information provided for that. So I just wanted to make sure that I went over that. We're in beginning week 6 now. Please reach out to me if you do have any questions about your assignments for this week, about the feedback from the previous week, ways that you can improve your scores. I'm here to assist you to the best of my ability to be able to help you get the best score that you can in the course. So hopefully you have a great rest of your day. If I do need to get another communication to you, I will either send out another video message, or I'll just use the course message center in order to get a message to you. So with that, have a great rest of your day. Look forward to talking to each of you again soon.